Hi, and welcome to the Caterpillar Cross Stitch YouTube channel. My name is Ford, and I'm joined this week by my supervisor, Nugget the Parakeet, and this week we want to talk a little bit more in depth about the topic of coverage. That is, how well your cross stitches cover the fabric and how much of the fabric shows through. In my recent video about the number of strands to use, coverage was one of the key concerns that I talked about there. So I'm going to share with you this week a technique for how to get better coverage without dramatically increasing the bulk of your stitches. It's a technique called tramming, although that name is a little bit of a misnomer and I'll get into that later, but not a lot of people talk about it, so I'm excited to share it with you today. Now before I get elbows deep into this topic, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. And when we're done, like the video and leave me a comment. I really want to hit 100,000 subscribers this year, and I'd love it if you were one of them. Now the technique that I'm going to talk about today is one that's not often discussed in cross-stitching circles, and when it is, it's frequently called tramming. Now this can be a little bit confusing because sometimes people will confuse that with railroading, and in fact if you try to look up information on tramming, Google will assume that railroading is what you want and show you instructions about that. But tramming actually gets its name from a technique that is used in needlepoint called Tramé, which is the French word for weft, or the horizontal threads in the weave of a fabric. And it'll become apparent why it's called that in a few minutes. But people kind of bastardized and got confused about that name, and it frequently gets called tramming. But then people hear tramming and they hear railroading and they mix those two things up, and it makes it kind of hard to find information about the technique called tramé or tramming. So I'm going to show you how it's done and talk a little bit about why it's important. But before I go into that, I want to talk a little bit about coverage versus bulk in the number of strands that you choose to stitch with. So as you increase the number of strands, the thickness of your bundle of threads gets bigger, obviously, because there's more thread in it. But that also makes it kind of stick up more from the surface of the fabric. It makes it a little bit more proud. And that has to do with the thickness of the fiber, but it also has to do with the turning radius of the fiber. So I want to demonstrate a little bit what I'm talking about there. So I've got this piece of jute rope here. And as you can see, if I try to turn a very tight loop with that, it reaches a certain point where the stiffness of the thread kind of starts to resist me. And as the size of a piece of rope increases, the size of the turning radius that the piece of rope will accommodate also increases. So when you're adding more threads to your stitching needle for cross-stitching, you're not only increasing the thickness of the thread and thus increasing the coverage of it, but you're also increasing both the bulk and the minimum turning radius that that thread will handle. So that makes the stitches kind of more spherical. They stick up more from the surface of the fabric. They don't lay quite as flat. That's what we refer to as bulk of the stitches. And for some projects, that's good. You want the bulk, you want the texture. For some projects, you don't. And so it's kind of a trade-off of coverage versus bulk a lot when you're choosing the number of strands. But there's another really great way to improve the coverage of your stitches without quite as much increasing the bulk of those stitches. And that's what tramming does. So I'm going to show you briefly the simplest demonstration of how tramming is done. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to bring our needle up in the middle of the side of the last stitch that we're going to do in a row. And then we pull that and actually, I'm going to use a little bit of a waste away technique to start this here. So I'm going to go down through the fabric and then bring it up here, just so that I can see when I've pulled it most of the way through. So then I'm going to count how many stitches I'm going to do in that row. And I'm going to pierce through the middle left side of the last one of those stitches. So I want to do another block of 6x4 stitches like I did here. Now I've done these stitches in DMC 310. That's black. And it is a notoriously reedy color. It does not give very good coverage. And that's largely because in order to get it black, it has to be dyed very, very heavily, and that's really hard on the cotton. So the cotton just winds up thinner and the floss winds up thinner. So you get this kind of reedy coverage with all of these gaps that you can see. And the extent to which that's visible varies a lot depending on the fabric and your technique and that kind of stuff. Now, when I did these ones, I didn't do any of the things I would normally do in order to improve the coverage. I didn't railroad my stitches, I didn't stop and untwist my thread frequently, that kind of stuff. So that kind of demonstrates, for my stitch technique, the worst case scenario of how much fabric you'll see through there. Now sometimes I like that. I like to see the fabric through, I like the kind of rustic, old-fashioned feel of it. But if I'm doing something kind of a little more modern, a little more pixel arty, then I don't want that to show through. I want more coverage. So that's where tramming can come in really handy. So what I do is I just run 2 threads across the surface of the fabric where I'm going to do my row of stitches, and then I just do my cross stitches right over the top of those. And I'm still going to use the Danish method here, so I'm just going to do all of my half stitches along there in that row. And you can see why this technique is named after the weft of the fabric. It's because we're running the thread parallel to, right along with the weft of the fabric. You can also do this just as easily, in fact more easily, on an even weave fabric when you're stitching over 2, say like with linen, because it'll actually lay down in between the 2 strands that you're stitching over in the linen, and that will make it nestle down even more. So you get an improvement of coverage with 0 increase of bulk when you use it on an even weave like that. So now just cross all of those stitches. Make sure you don't miss out on all the Caterpillar news about upcoming stitch-alongs, retreats, socials, those kinds of things by subscribing to the Stitch Club email newsletter. There's a link in the description or in the pinned comment for this video. And as soon as you sign up, you'll also get 10 free PDF cross-stitch patterns worth £60. So make sure you check that out. And I'm going to do another row of these so that you can see the coverage benefit compared to my just cross stitches. Okay, so I've finished those couple of rows of trammed cross stitches, and you can see that even though I only ran my tram stitches horizontal, not both directions, there's basically no fabric visible between the 2 rows of stitches. Now you can also tram both vertically and horizontally on the same stitches if you really want to max out that coverage, and you can do 1 or 2 strands of tram stitch underneath depending on the needs of the project and how big the fabric is and how much you're seeing through it and that kind of stuff. So it would be something that you would probably want to experiment with. Now tramming also does open up a lot of interesting creative choices that you can make in your project as well. So for instance, you could do your Tramé stitch with a different color than what your cross stitches are, like a slightly darker or a slightly lighter color. So you got kind of more of a multi-tonal look to it. Another nice thing about Tramé as a technique is that you can do it after you've finished the stitches. So say you were stitching along and you thought, okay, trust the process. It's going to be fine. It's going to look good when I'm done. Trust the process. And then you get to the end and it's like, oh, I should have trusted my instincts. Trust me, I've been there. What you can do in that case, instead of starting over or stitching back over it with additional strands, is you can just run a tram underneath those finished stitches. You'll want to use a slightly smaller needle than you did for the stitches because you won't have a lot of space underneath there, but you can just slip a needle with 1 or 2 strands of floss underneath those existing stitches. I've got a little bit of a snag there. And that will fill those stitches in and fill in that displayed fabric. So you can do it after the fact. This would also be a great thing to do if you're working from a kit and you're not certain that you're going to have enough floss to bump up from 2 to 3 or from 3 to 4 strands, for instance. You can stitch it in the called for number of strands, and then if you have enough left over to do it, you can run the tram stitch underneath there. And as far as floss usage, tramming uses far less floss than adding an additional strand to your stitches. Because just mathematically speaking, when you add a strand to a cross stitch, that strand gets added to 1 half cross stitch, a 2nd half cross stitch, and 2 vertical stitches on the back side of the fabric, plus the length that gets eaten up going back and forth through the fabric. So adding 1 strand of floss to a cross stitch uses up at least 4.8 times as much floss as the width of the square that you're adding it to. So even if you did a tramé with 2 strands horizontally and vertically, that's going to use less floss than adding 1 strand to your cross stitch. So it actually makes it a little more efficient. Now, I think it would be overkill to do 2 strands of tramming. I would either do 2 strands horizontal or 1 strand horizontal and 1 strand vertical. That will be plenty to fill in the visible fabric underneath. Now, I love sharing my knowledge here on the YouTube channel, but did you know that Caterpillar also has an Instagram and a Facebook group? There are tens of thousands of stitchers in those spaces sharing hundreds of thousands of years of knowledge and experience. Plus, it's a great place to ask questions, get finishing ideas, that kind of stuff. So make sure you find both of those so that you don't miss out. There's also another really great benefit of using tramming to fill in your stitches, which is that I don't know if you're like me and you find yourself counting rows of stitches over and over and over again. Like you count, okay, I've done 22 stitches. This row needs to be 37 stitches long. So then you do a few more stitches and you're like, oh, crap, was that 34 or 35? And so then you have to count the whole thing again. If you're using tramming, you can count it once. You can run your tram stitch that whole length, and then that will act as counting. So it's kind of like gridding, basically. So you can do all of your tramé stitches in a particular area that you're going to finish, and then go and do all of your cross stitches, and that tramming will just work as the counting for you. So if you're going to be in a highly distractible environment, say on the bus or the airport or at a kid's sports game or something like that, you can do the tramming and it'll save you having to keep looking at your pattern. You can just cross-stitch all the areas that you've already trammed. So it's a really great way to be able to stitch a little bit more brain-free, a little bit more hands-free as well, because you won't need to keep pulling your pattern out. So that's another really excellent application of doing the tramming, is being able to kind of mark out a particular area. So what do you think? Have you ever heard of tramming before, or did you just assume that tramming was the same thing as railroading? Because I did. Let us know in the comments, or if you've tried it before, or if you have improvements on the technique that I've shown today. I'd love to hear about it. Leave it in the comments as well for other viewers. That is all I wanted to share with you this week, though, so I want to thank you so much for watching. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford. This is Nugget, and I'll see you next week. Oh, what's that, Nugget? Oh, Nugget says don't forget to like and subscribe.